Today I'd like to show you the new project bike for our shop. It's a DUCATI Supersport 1991 model. We're going to pull the engine out, swing arm, forks, head stem bearings, the whole lot. We're going to basically resto the whole bike. Every nut and bolt, she's going to come up pretty good, I reckon. Chains, sprockets, tyres. So I hope you can hang around and see it progress. I'm looking forward to the vapor blasting of the cases. I haven't done that before or had that used on any of my projects, so that will be quite good. These are all fairy and corroded, like what seems to happen with all these old bikes, so we'll pull him apart, send that out to be done, and try and make this bike beautiful once again. All the dash, replace all that, all the foam, the triple clamp, get that blasted. I hope you can hang around and watch the progress. The first thing we're going to do is take off all the red bodywork. Also the fuel tank. We'll put that somewhere safe and we'll have a look at what lies beneath the red DUCATI fairings. So the fuel cap, it's had dust sitting on it, which has caused rust, but inside the tank, it looks like there's been no moisture, which is because that looks quite good. Generally, if this is all rusty, you've had water sitting in your fuel tank. So I hope when we pull it apart, inside the fuel tank is in good condition. Okay, let's remove the tank. This is the fuel tap. Make sure we turn that off. Fuel pump wiring and fuel level sender. Two fuel lines, and these are the fuel tank drain hoses. Actually, there's only one on this. The vent is at the top. The fuel lines have gone quite hard, so we're going to cut them off with a blade. Let's lower the tank down, pull the pin out of the rear of it, put it somewhere safe. That should be the fuel tank able to be removed. So once again, there's a lot of dirt, grime and corrosion happening. Later we will remove this and inspect inside the fuel tank, but for now we're going to keep removing the red stuff. Let's remove the nose cone. Next, we'll remove the left-hand panel. The rubber well nuts I can feel the brass slipping inside the rubber. So obviously we're going to change all those. Okay. So that's what's hiding under the left-hand fairing. So all that's left to remove that's red is the front mudguard. There's all the panels. They're in pretty good nick. I don't see any broken pieces or anything. There's a few little dents in the fuel tank and marks and whatnot. So we'll get those sorted out. The main fairings, they actually look pretty good as well. So we'll hang them up here out of harm's way and find something else to pull off the bike. What we want to pull off now is the headlight and then move on to the gauges. Okay, there's a headlight beam. While we're at it, I will remove these adjuster screws and springs because I want to send every nut and bolt away to have them recoated. So it's probably easier to pull them out now than when it's sliding around on the bench. So this is the tacho cable, speedo cable, a few wires, main dash wiring. I better try not to break this. These are easy to break, so I'll put a bit more effort into that so I don't damage it. So the trip meter reset knob works. It was a little bit stiff at the start, but it's freed up. Now I just need to remove it. So I've disconnected the trip meter reset cable. There was a small split pin that connected it to the back of the dash up here, so that was a piece of cake to remove. Now we can unbolt the gauges. We'll look at getting these bezels repainted, new foam. It's good that this is in good condition because I don't think you can buy this display anymore. The next thing I want to remove is the wiring harness. So we will pull that out, disconnect all the cable ties, take it all off the bike and check if there's any damage on it, which I don't think there should be. It looked in pretty good condition, but let's remove this and the fuse box and any other wiring that we can see on the bike. So we'll start by cutting off all these cable ties and try and get the harness free and also the fuse box down where it goes to the regulator and towards the back of the bike. Let's cut a few hundred cable ties off it and see if the harness comes loose. This part here must be a large fuse. It looks like something you'd find in an old house. Right, drop the cable off it. Yeah, no corrosion, it's very good. So this part here would be pretty important to remember, which way all the connectors mount to the headlight bracket. So I'll make sure that I make good notes on that. So it's got a front harness and a main harness. Unbolt the fuse box, get that guy out the way. You've got to be very careful with all this plastic stuff. A lot of this gear you just can't get anymore. I'll just put the bolts back in so I can find them later. So that's the front harness, does the headlights, all the relays, bits and pieces. We'll put that away and we'll try and get the main harness off now. Okay, main harness. So we need to remove the voltage regulator now. I think I'll replace this as well when we put the bike back together. We'll see what happens, we'll test it and see if we change it or if it's okay, but we want to make sure we have a good charging system. So that's your voltage regulator. 2 yellow wires go down to your stator. The red ones go to that big old fuse that I showed you earlier on. An earth, and I think the white one goes up to the dash light. If you're not charging, it puts a light on. There's actually another harness that runs up the right hand side of the bike. It goes to the oil pressure switch, neutral light, brake light, powers up the coils. Hopefully that's all that's holding the harness in. Can't be too much left. So that's the mid harness out as well. That's the ignition boxes. There's 2 of those. And the coils, we'll unbolt those and that'll free up the airbox. And then we'll move on and take the starter switches and the left hand switch block off as well. There you go. Coils and CDI boxes. I was going to cut the grips off and replace them, but in case we put them back on, I'm not sure if they're the original style grips or whatnot. I'll blow them off with compressed air. That way they're reusable. Let's pop off the left hand switch block. The start stop switch and also the throttle housing. Oh, it looks like the front brake switch needs to come off too. Disconnect these while we're here. Well, that's it for episode 1. Please leave a comment. Tell me your thoughts on the whole process, what you think we should do. I'm really keen for your input. Anyway, thanks guys, and I'll see you next week.